welcome to Forbidden Planet 42, answering not just the question to life, the universe and everything, but celebrating 42 glorious years of Forbidden Planet. I'm Andrew Sumner, and my special guest in this session is the one, the only, Mark Millar, MBE, right here, right now, live from Scotland. How you doing, mate?
Doing great. Quite enjoying lockdown, week 16 or something. You know, I'm the king of the cooler now. I don't mind being locked up. I'm quite relaxed.
You got the mitts, you got the baseball, you're bouncing it against the wall, you're taking the keys from the guard. You know what I mean? There's no better feeling, right? And you've got your beautiful family with you.
The kids are locked up with me here, you know, which on the one hand, being locked up in a house with your children while you're writing is the plot of The Shining.
Yeah.
You know, but on the other hand, it's actually been quite nice.
I love it, mate. I love it. Hey, so Mark, do you think you could? I think you could start off by letting me know, talking about when you first became aware of Forbidden Planet and when your first visit to the store was.
I know both of these things really, really well. Actually, it's funny you ask, because my first experience of Forbidden Planet was in Captain Britain, in the Alan Moore, Alan Davis story, where Captain Britain's fighting a bad guy and throws him through the window of Forbidden Planet. And I sort of knew, you know, your instinct tells you this is a real place. And it looked like there was some in-joke, even though I was only like 12 or something, you know. I knew there was some in-joke that I wasn't in on, but I had a sense of this being a real thing. Then I began to notice in the back of Warrior comics, like adverts for Forbidden Planet and everything. I thought, right, this is all coming together now. So it had this kind of mythical status for me for a long time. Then when I was 18, my first ever trip to London, I have to go there. And it was like a religious experience because comic stores in Scotland were good. And now they're very good, actually. You know, they've got a bit more like the kind of superstores you get in London. There was nothing like this. I mean, it was, you know, back in those days, it really was like cardboard boxes just filled with 10p comics and everything, you know. Yeah. Walking into Forbidden Planet was like walking into the Batcave or something. It was great.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had a similar pilgrimage from Liverpool at a certain point, and it's just that kick, you know, straight, you know, that synaptic boost you get when you walk through the door. It's like nothing else. What do you remember about your signings, mate? Because you've done a bunch of signings over the years with us, right?
I have, and it's quite exciting. You know, see if you've been a customer in a store and then actually go and do a signing in the store. It's quite a nice thing, you know, because I've done loads of signings all over the world, but very few shops that I was a customer in first. And there's something a little bit magical about getting behind the curtain. You know, like backstage at Forbidden Planet, it's always quite cool. And, you know, there's the free drinks and the biscuits and things like that lying around. And the comics that haven't been priced yet, you know, lying in the back of the shop and everything. And it's really cool, you know. So I remember getting backstage for the first time and meeting Nick Landau and Viv, his wife, who owns the place. And they were pretty well-known figures within fandom as well. You know, I mean, Nick's obviously a legend. Yeah. Going back, you know, to his childhood when he was like the biggest distributor of comics in the UK when he was a teenager, you know. And I remember seeing Nick for the first time and being quite excited, you know, because I knew he was the former editor at 2000 AD and probably 2000 AD's best ever period and everything, you know. So Nick was a bit of a British Stan Lee, you know, as well as being this kind of comic store owner. So I remember my first signing, just loving it. It was super exciting. And like all signings, I just hoped somebody showed up. I remember just thinking, please let somebody show up. Because I remember one time seeing, it wasn't in Forbidden Planet, I remember passing by a store one time and a guy literally, I walked into the shop, guy with a pen in his hand at a desk, just smiling at everybody. And we were all walking back. And I was in for about 20 minutes buying my comics and everything, you know, and then as I walked out, not a sinner had come up to this poor sod, you know. And it always stays in the back of my mind, wherever I go in the world, never be that guy.
That's not the experience you want.
No,
I get that.
I
mean, fortunately, you know, not only are you, you know, a good mate with, you know, Vivian Chung and Nick Landau, or owners, like you're saying, the people without whom there probably isn't really a British comic book industry, and certainly there's no British comic book distribution, and there's no US penetration in the UK without them. Yeah. But also, you know, as a result of, you know, your own application and you know, your own creative spark, you've just become the guy who's always going to be able to fill a store wherever you go. You know, so looking back from being that fan to being who you are now, that's got to be an amazing feeling, mate.
It is funny. Like, you know, whenever you do something that you love, that eventually happens. If you're a footballer, you know, you love that team growing up and then you get to play for that team. And that's kind of what it's like working at DC and Marvel. Even before I did Netflix and Willow World and everything, seeing my name in a book that it was number 584 or something like that I had number 351 of. It sounds really geeky, but it's really exciting, to be part of a big legacy like that and to contribute to these things that you loved as a kid is brilliant, So yeah, I never quite don't get the thrill of it. And my family, it's really interesting. Like, my family don't really read comics, but what they do quite like is seeing the credits. Like, so I'll say, here's a book. I mean, I'm so proud of this book. I spent a year working on it, and I hand it over, and they look at it, see my name, and they go, "Oh, that's great," yeah, and then close the book again, and I know it's never getting opened again. They just check it was me, and that's it.
Yeah, I completely get that. So something you mentioned actually is about working with both DC and Marvel, and looking back on that expansive work. Before we get into that, there's something specifically I want to ask you about. How does it feel to have a story out there that's illustrated by Steve Ditko?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, there's a bucket list when you work in any industry. I guess there's certain achievements you want, and there's certain artists I wanted to work with. And growing up, my guys actually were guys who were a generation out from everybody else's guys. I was reading a lot of reprints. So in Scotland's distribution wasn't fantastic. So I was reading Steve Ditko's Spider-Man, I was reading Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four, and of course Kurt Swan's Superman, which was distributed pretty normally. The DC stuff was easier to get. So for me, these were the guys I was desperate to work with, and they were all like 75 years old by the time I did get to work with them. But it was, I got to work with Kurt Swan, which was awesome. Got to work with Dick Giordano, which was amazing. And Ditko seemed the most unattainable of all because he was an unusual character. He was very reclusive. He lived and worked in this apartment that nobody was allowed inside. And I think he'd appeared at a Comic-Con in 1964 or something. Three photographs of him were in existence. So it's like, and somebody phoned me up and said, "How would you like Steve Ditko to draw this little 4-page story you've done, this backup strip?" I was like, "Are you kidding? This was like getting Moses or something." I mean, he's just as a legend. So, and he did a great job, which was awesome. And I tried to get in touch to try and buy the original artwork and everything, but he was just so unobtainable. But that was part of his charm, wasn't it? So
of course.
Wouldn't it have been disappointing if he did phone you up and tell you how much he was enjoying Friends?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want Ditko to be that, Yeah, absolutely not. I want him to be living in some kind of objectivist, black and white, two-tone apartment, listening to the Selector or something, and that's it. That would be the image.
No doors to the studio, just portals.
Exactly. Exactly. You're not wrong, mate. So when you look back, over redefining, the Avengers with the Ultimates and really forming the template for the movies that have taken over the world in the last 10 years, and you look at everything you've achieved with Millar World, what are for you, what are your personal highlights? What are the things you look back on and think, man, I'm proud of that?
It's quite hard to say, because it's funny. You know what it's like in life? You never really look back, don't you? You're always thinking about, all right, I've got to take, my kid's going to the optician tomorrow morning, so you're thinking about that, or you're thinking about that story that you're working on. You never kind of think, that was a really good story I did in 2008 or something, But so it's always really nice whenever somebody else brings it up, like if somebody shows up with Old Man Logan or Civil War, Kick-Ass or something, it's lovely to think it's gone beyond me and other people are actually into this as well. It's great, But in terms of highlights, it's pretty cool standing on a set with Captain America and all that, seeing the people in the costume and everything, Something that should be in a comic page in real life. I mean, seeing it in the cinema is actually incredible as well, to be sitting back and watching something that, I used to be happy with Bill Bixby and Nicholas Hammond playing these guys. Of course. And the budget's been peanuts and everything. And to actually then see it being the biggest movie in the world at that time is an amazing experience. But to actually kind of go behind the camera and be standing with the director, talking to the actors and everything, that's pretty cool. Or when you read an interview, the actor's name dropping you as an influence or something.
Because Sam Jackson's dropped your name a lot over the years, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I mean, a lot of them have, and it's really nice. I think nothing compares to when it's actually your own thing. When it's something that was in your head and it didn't exist. And then suddenly it's in the world. I mean, it is a bit like having kids. And Kick-Ass, Johnny Ramita and I, whenever we walked on the set back in 2008, it was, Johnny and I walked on the Kick-Ass set, and something, we saw Nick Cage standing in costume and Aaron Taylor-Johnson standing in the Kick-Ass suit that Johnny had designed and everything. And that's a weird thing. Yeah. Something that's a doodle. Quite recently before that, maybe 18 months before, is now suddenly three-dimensional and standing in front of you, and that's sort of like a religious experience, you know. And there are be times where you do think, I hope it's not like Life on Mars or something. I've just been bumped in the head, and I'm imagining it's almost too good to be true.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, mate, how does it feel to be working with Netflix now? How's that relationship going for you?
It's amazing. It's the first proper job I've ever really had, which is weird, you know. Like, I mean, I sold Millar World. We sold the company to the Netflix back in August 2017, and all the artists all got rich, and everybody was really happy and everything. We thought, okay, and then I suddenly thought, well, I'm still pretty young, you know, I'm just in my 40s and everything, you know. And they said to me, listen, we really like what you've been doing, you know, so it's distinct from the sale. Would you be interested in coming on staff as the executive? And I was like, well, I've never had a job, you know. And they were like, we think you'd be good at this, you know, and you could just do what you have been doing and speak to writers and directors and all this kind of stuff. Just be part of the process, and also create new material for us as well, like come up with new stuff in-house, like new movies and new TV shows, and do the sequels to the stuff that we bought when they bought the company. And I was like, okay, this sounds awesome, you know. So I took a week off. I took a week's holiday after the company sale, and then just started a job, you know. And it was the best thing I've ever done. I just love it. It's everything I love about my job, but backed up with this insane 160
machine
powerhouse. You know, it's great. So like the legal department is like the best legal department in the world. You know, the accounts department are the most efficient in the world, and they can get you anyone. You know, so you'll maybe think, I wouldn't mind talking to that director or something. Within 5 minutes, somebody has connected you with that person, and you've got a call set up for later that day and everything. It's amazing.
I mean, that's just got to feel awesome, like working for S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. Like
it really is.
Yeah.
It's like a nice lazy version of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I'm sitting back, you know, like I'm in no danger.
With the notebook in the barbershop chair, just, you know, I think it's amazing, mate. So from there, I guess, what can you tell us about, what can you share about Jupiter's legacy?
It's great. It's good. I mean, I've seen it so many times. That's the thing that's weird, because obviously as a producer and also working in-house, we see every bit of the process, you know. So we see the actors' auditions. We saw the scripts, obviously, you know, and gave notes on the scripts, and then the actors' auditions. And then the actors being selected is quite exciting. You know, you've got your favourites and everything, and it's lovely seeing the ones you like best coming through. Then the shooting is super exciting and all that, you know. So it's weird. It's been a very long process, like a movie. Like TV shows are sometimes just churned out and they're cheap. You know, you make these things quickly. But this has been given the depth of a movie, and it's an 8-part superhero drama. In terms of scope and ambition, there's never been anything like it. I mean, it starts in 1929 and it comes up to modern day. It runs through 2 or 3 generations of superheroes, all the stories told at the same time. So the structure that's been used is like Godfather 2, where you have the story in the past and the story in the present happening at the same time, which is so ambitious, you know, to be flipped back and forward in one episode between 1929 and 2020 is, you know, that's expensive in itself, because you have to, everybody do lots of authentic outfits, and there's 2 different types of cars going past at all time and everything, you know. So, but the scale of this, you know, something about a family, a big Shakespearean family drama, as Jupiter's legacy is, you know, it's about, you know, the world's greatest superheroes getting married and having children, and the children not living up to their expectations. Something like that's quite grand, but then to put it into this massive time thing and 100 years of Earth history, you know, all being put in this one show, I've never seen anything like it. This is like movie quality. It's another evolutionary jump again. And Netflix has spent a lot of dough on it, you know, and that's why it just takes a little bit longer. We finished shooting around Christmas time, but there's a year's worth of special effects.
Yeah.
Even more than a Marvel movie. A Marvel movie is 120 minutes, but this is actually 8 episodes of like dazzling effects, you know. So there's guys in their COVID, you know, quarantine sitting adding digital effects into this every day of the week right now. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have something that can come out.
Mate, that's brilliant. I mean, you've got any idea about an air date? Is it going to be this year, you think? Going to be next year?
I don't think it'll be this year, just in terms of like COVID has slowed down the post-production a little bit, you know. I'm pretty certain it won't be this year. But there's a lot of effects already added. Most of the edits have been done now and everything. I'd suspect it'll be early next year. But it's funny because sometimes even things will sit in the can for a little bit too, because you don't want to be up against 3 other superhero shows that are premiering at the same date and everything too. So it's a bit like a movie. You have to find your date and the one that's most beneficial to you. So I kind of get that. There's a little bit of me just desperate for everybody to see it though. You know, it's like having a you know, it's like a gift that you're wanting to just bestow upon the world, you know.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
and it's only me and my pals that have seen it. You know, they come. I mean, Netflix don't know this, but you know, I'll get a carry out and get everything. I'll sit and watch Jupiter's Legacy. So we'll see the new cut every couple of weeks.
That's awesome, mate. What can you share with us about the Kingsman?
Yeah, the new Kingsman movie. It's funny, like the last Kingsman movie, I was in the middle of negotiating for selling the company because it took a year to do all that stuff. So I couldn't really be involved in Golden Circle. I was a passive producer on it, which meant I get paid for doing virtually no work. It's great, you know. And it's the same with this one as well, because I'm at Netflix now, and this is a Disney movie. It's a Fox Disney film. I can't legally work on it.
Yeah.
So I didn't include Kick-Ass or Kingsman in the company sales, so I still co-own them. But because I'm a Netflix employee, I can't work on them, but I can have a sneaky look at the movie, which is great. So Matthew phoned me up a few months ago and he says, listen, I've got a final cut. Do you want to see it? And I was like, yes. So like, we got a curry in and all that, you know, got the film on, which was brilliant. And we just sat and had a great night. My sister-in-law, my wife and I, you know, the three of us got the kids in bed in quarantine, sat and watched the Kingsman. Great. So everybody else will see it hopefully in September, but my God, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
who knows what's going to happen now? I can't wait, mate. I mean, I think you've really been well served by your relationship with Matthew, and the things that have come out of that creatively as pieces of cinema have just been amazing. In fact, your hit rate for movies has been great.
I've been really lucky. I have been really lucky, you know, and I think it will continue here at Netflix. I mean, the trick I realise with people like Jane Goldman, Matthew Vaughn, and everything is, if somebody's really, really good at what they'll do, they'll make your stuff look better, you know. And you see that with the Marvel stuff as well. They get somebody awesome like James Gunn coming in, and you're more interested in Guardians than you've ever been in your life. Get somebody awesome writing and directing this, and it's going to be. And it's so easy when you think about it like that.
Yeah, I love it. What did you think of the? Because it only got released relatively recently, the Red Son adaptation?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, I'm a big fan of J.M. DeMatteis. I've always liked his comics, and I discovered him, pretty early in his career. You know, I would have been about 10, 11, and just at that age where you're starting to kind of feel you should be growing out of superheroes, and then you see somebody like him coming in with material that you've never seen before. So Alan Moore appeared around about the same time, Frank Miller and these guys. So you're like, this is awesome. I'm never giving this up. So whenever I heard that he was going to be doing the adaptation, I was like, okay, I'm in good hands. He did the adaptation years back of For the Man Who Is Everything, the Dave Gibbons, Alan Moore Superman story, and he did a great job on it. And I thought, this is fine. I can just sit back and enjoy this. This will be good. Yeah,
no, I loved it. I thought it was great. And have you got? Are we ever going to see Nemesis Superior? Are we going to see a Wanted sequel? Or you know, what's the likelihood on all of those?
Well, it's funny. Whenever I sold the company, all the rights to all those things goes over to Netflix. So everything that comes back, we're making. So there's a lot of things that they already have, which is like, you know, Reborn, the stuff we're doing first, you know, Reborn, Sharky, Space Bandits, Prodigy, Huck, you know, all these things are being made as features just now. Yeah. And we've got Magic Order, Jupiter's Legacy, Chrononauts, and everything all being done as television. So Starlight, I think, is back in 5 years. Nemesis is back in 6 years. Superior's back quite soon, I think in 4 years actually. I think Starlight might now be 4 years as well. So Starlight, both of them are 4 years. So we'll just, as soon as we get them back, we'll make them. Because I've got my plans for, you know, who I'd like on them and all this kind of thing. But they're just sitting at these companies just now. And you know, they might get made there. It's possible. You know, there's been some interest in Starlight, and there's been a few directors that Fox has been talking to. I do suspect we'll get them back. And to put it in perspective, an average studio makes around 30 hours, 35 hours of new material every year. Netflix is doing 1,800 hours of new material every year, you know, so we'll get these made. I mean, that's the beauty. I mean, if we'd sold our company to another studio, other studios had come in bidding for us, you know, and we'd have been making a film every 3 years, whereas we're going to be making like 10 films a year, you know, it's going to be great.
Mate, it's a mind-blowing position to be in. And I feel that we've probably backed into what I wanted to get. The final thing I wanted to get into is there anything that any project that you can share with us, anything you can give a hint of that you're currently working on that you haven't spoken about already, or any flavour you can get, you know, I'd love to. I know the FB master would love to hear it.
Well, do you know, it's weird. Like my plan was to take a year off publishing as of February. And what I didn't realise was everybody was going to be taking a year off publishing, you know, because of COVID. You know, I didn't obviously anticipate this. So my plan was to just build up loads of stuff over the course of about a year, and then a flood of things. You know, after the Jupiter's Legacy TV show comes out and everything, just have a flood of stuff all coming out. And I obviously didn't know there was going to be like the world's having a gap year kind of thing in that time. But the next thing I'm meant to be published actually will be May next year. I'm going to be doing the final volume of Jupiter's Legacy. And that's really exciting because the TV show will have been out by then. It'll have huge mainstream awareness. And when the final volume comes out, it's going to be super exciting. You know, it won't quite be Game of Thrones level yet, but in time, hopefully it will. It'll be one of those things people are like, how the hell does this end? So we haven't announced who the artist is on that yet. You know, Frank Whiteley's involved. He's doing designs and covers and all this kind of thing. But we have another artist on it who I adore. I absolutely love him. So we will make an announcement on all that stuff. I think round about November, we'll launch in May, which is going to be the beginning of all the new books that we're doing too. Also working on, I've already done Magic Order 2 with Olivia Coipel. I don't think I've been official with this yet, but Olivia Coipel's drawing that right now. What else has been done? I'm writing Prodigy 2 at the moment, and I want to have both collections out in time for the Prodigy movie coming out in 2022. What else have we done? I've done a whole new series nobody knows about yet with one of my favourite artists ever. I mean, this guy's amazing. He's so great. We'll probably announce that around about November or December. But I wrote it 6 months ago and he's drawing that just now. So we're banking all this stuff. I mean, it's really exciting. There's great stuff in here. Johnny Romita and I are going to do another project together at Netflix as well. We haven't done anything since Kick-Ass. And we've had a good run. You know, we did Wolverine together. We did Kick-Ass together and everything. So this will be our third time getting together and doing something that's going to be exciting. So unbelievable amount of stuff. I've actually, you know, the great thing about an international pandemic is that there's nothing else to do, right? So I've just been working so hard. I'm avoiding doing the schoolwork with the kids and all that. You know, it's like a nightmare. So I've been leaving all that to my wife and my sister-in-law. And I've just been hiding downstairs and just getting as much work done as I can. So I'm actually about 3 months ahead or something. That's absolutely immense.
Fantastic, mate. I can't wait. That's just a whole arc of exciting shit to look forward to. It's going to be amazing.
Well,
mate,
it's like being constipated. I've got it all just backed up here for like a year. I'm trying to let it out.
So, Mark, one of the things we're going to be doing is out of Forbidden Planet 42, we're going to birth Forbidden Planet TV, and we're going to carry on doing this, rolling into the release of a whole bunch of stuff as it comes into the stores, as it comes out there for our customers. And what I'd really appreciate, mate, if you'd be up for it, is coming back and seeing us as these things are releasing and talking us through them as they go live. It'd be great to see you again if you're up for it, mate.
I would love it. Let's do it in May. Whenever we launch it, let's arrange something.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time today, mate. Yeah, I know you're super busy. And, thanks for being with us and thanks for sparing the time for the Forbidden Planet customers. You know, you are, as you know, one of their favourite creators, and just getting the chance to leap inside your head is a privilege for them and it's a privilege for us. So, mate, this has been Forbidden Planet 42, and you have been watching Mark Millar, MBE. Thank you very much, and we will see you in the funny books. Thank you. Take care. Thanks. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Andy.